Like I trained classically for several years, but then I went and worked with a record label in Europe, and I traveled around the world, and this was in my early 20s, so this was like 10, 12 years ago. And I performed all over the place. Like I went to Russia 3 times, and Moscow, and Tahiti, and all over Europe. I lived in Paris, well, in a place called Lime, and then in the south of France, in Aix-en-Provence. So I've traveled lots of places, and so when I came back from a European adventure, I got really involved into like marketing and sales. And I started doing a lot of managing and account managing, and I made a lot of money, and I was having a good time. And long story short, in my mid-20s, that the business end all stopped because I got a I want to make sure I say this right because people blow this out of proportion, a non-cancerous tumor. And some call it an abscess, some doctors call it a tumor. It's basically the same thing is what I've understood. It's not cancerous, but it was in a very dangerous spot. And they said if it burst, it could kill me, but they can't do anything about it. And antibiotics weren't working. So it was a mess. And long story short, after a year of that, and it made me very sick, I changed my diet to a vegetarian diet, and I got on a bunch of herbs, and it went away. So I got back into business and started doing well for myself again. I got sick again, and I started having heart issues, and I started having blackout spells, and I didn't know what was going on. And I've had, everybody's had anxiety before, and I've had anxiety, but I'm like, this is different. And so I've had this 5-year battle with my health, and tried to go back to Europe to get it fixed because I love the French healthcare system. I tried several different things, several different doctors. Nobody could figure out what it was. And as of, about a year and a half ago, I was working with a really great doctor, and we did some blood tests, and I did a test for they were testing my adrenals and my cortisol and all this stuff, and we found something interesting, and it was that my copper levels were high, and some other things were high, and we didn't think much of it until, long story short, I read an article somewhere about breast implant sickness, and all I know when I have breast implants, I thought, well, that's awesome because I'm glad I won't ever have to go through that. And then I thought to myself, well, I don't have any foreign objects in my body because this article I was reading was Hugh Hefner's wife or something, and she went through this, and it said any foreign object in your body. And that's when I realized I have the Paragard IUD, which is a copper IUD. And I went, oh my gosh. So I started doing the research and seeing I'm one of, tens of thousands of women who have gotten copper toxicity, and then other people are going through what I'm going through. And there are some studies, in my opinion, not enough, but there is evidence correlating with that. And so we started the process of trying to fix my body. And so long story short, where we're at today present is that not only did we find out I'm copper toxic, I also have aluminum toxicity and slight mercury toxicity. So what happened with me getting on YouTube was a little bit over a year ago, I couldn't hardly leave my house. I was so sick that I would have several almost blackout spells, and my heart would go crazy. And I had some really bad stuff with my stomach. In 2 years, I gained 100 pounds. I was really tiny before this. And we found out I got, from going to France to try to get better, I got a minor stomach infection that just never fully cleared up. That caused a lot of this weight gain. So I was just depressed. I was sad. I couldn't really do anything. I don't have any family support. At the time, I was living with who's now my current boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, who was helping me because I just couldn't do anything. And all my business contracts, those had ended. And I couldn't get any more work because I was sick. So I thought one day, I always thought, could I ever do YouTube? I think I could be good at it. I think I could do this. And I just, I was always too busy. There was something in the way. I was too insecure. And I saw one day, this is literally how I started my channel. I saw Onision rating 12 and 13-year-old girls in their underwear, like a lot of people did back then. My iPhone, the camera was it was kind of damaged, so it was a blurry screen. I picked up my iPhone and just recorded an 8-minute rant, and I threw it up online, and it got thousands of views. And I was like, what happened? And so I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe I should do this because it's something fun I can do from home. And my idea, and this is how naive I was like, well, maybe I can just make friends online and people who understand what I'm going through. Because when you're chronically ill, you lose your social life because you don't do much. And, I was like, I don't want to even talk to anybody because I don't want to just whine all the time about what I'm going through. So I got on YouTube and I started, making videos. And a lot of it was Onision stuff in the beginning because he was just being a real prick. It was something fun for me to rant to. And so in 3 weeks, I got 1,000 subscribers. I didn't know how this worked at all, right? I had no clue. So in my mind, I thought maybe in 6 months I'll have 1,000, maybe. Week 4, I hit 10,000, and I went, oh my God. I didn't know anything about the algorithms. I didn't know any of this stuff at the time, right? It was really, really crazy. So that was the start of me getting on YouTube. I just wanted to make friends, have fun, and have an outlet for what I was going through physically. And also, I thought if I can get a platform, maybe I can use this as a way to educate and warn people about birth control and IUDs. And I'm not anti-birth control by any means, but I was really upset because I'm like, I got this sick and my life has been ruined, at least temporarily, I hope, by a device that nobody warned me about. Nobody told me the side effects. So I was very, very vocal about that. And that's how I started. There were some days I'd make 2-3 videos and they'd say, how can you be sick and do this? I'm like, you fail to remember the weeks I'll take off because I'm not feeling well. And some days if I have the energy, like I did marketing and I'm a performer, I'm a natural talker. Turning a camera on and talking takes me very little energy. Even editing, I got to the point where I did very little editing. I just kind of put an intro and outro, edit, like clip off the beginning and the end and just throw it up there unedited. And by May, I was actually making some decent money, which all went to Rose in May. But so yeah, and it became a source for me making a little money and being able to save that I knew this next year I was going to really try to aggressively get insurance and dive into what's going on. So it was a way to save up for that too. I made several videos on Onision, and Onision sent me a fake cease and desist. And I came from the business world and I've dealt with enough, I don't have an extreme amount of legal experience, but I have enough legal experience with cease and desist, like certain things like that in regards to different campaigns I've worked. If we had an employee that goes AWOL and having to deal with legal departments, so I knew it was fake, and so I wasn't going to be intimidated. So I had this 3-minute video where I read it out loud, spelling errors and everything in it, and I looked in the camera crazy, crumpled it up, I threw it at my camera and said, "It's onion time, bitch." And so So Andy Worski got a hold of that as well as Repsion, and they said, we want to do a video with you. And that's how I met those two. And those two were my first big shout outs. And I don't know if you know Mike and Actor. Mike and Actor was my first shout out ever on YouTube, and we're still good friends to this day. Like, we still talk all the time. He's one of those people that actually is somebody I've made a good friend in that's on YouTube. But yeah, and from there it grew. Like, I've heard from a few people that the angle of because we can't figure you out. Like, we don't know what your end game is. And I'm like, there is no end game. I'm just me, and I'm just trying to be helpful and have fun with people and give my opinion. There's no, that's it. Like, there's no big conspiracy about me. That's what it is. I mean, I was a weird new ager when I was younger, but fuck, like, most people they do drinking and they get rebellious. For me, I dove into weird fucking spiritual concepts. That was my way of being rebellious. But oh yeah, what you were saying about people, it's very, very interesting because some of them are very, very different, and it's very strange to me because I don't get that. I just want to be myself, but then nobody even believes that. It's like they think I'm just putting on a front, so it's very interesting. A friend of mine, I want her to remain anonymous, but she is on YouTube and she has a decent following. She was the one who she'd been encouraging me for a couple years on YouTube, and we did marketing together. That's how I met her, and I said, no, I don't want to do that. But it was her who told me what camera to get a diva light. And I said, well, what do I do? She said, just get like a white wall, stand in front of it, turn your diva light on, and just, talk about whatever you want. So that's what I did. I don't think there was anybody I was really influenced by. I just kind of just said whatever the fuck came to my mind, good or bad, I guess. I got criticized for everything all the time. So it was like, some people loved it that I just was like, I just was unfiltered, up the cuffs, that just said what I wanted. And some people it was, these videos are too long, and this and that. You need to tailor it down. You need to get focused. And I think one of the downfalls of my channel in general was coming on and being as sick as I was and talking about it, because for me, a lot of it wasn't even so much like about getting everything organized. It was that because of I have fibromyalgia from what I've gone through, and I'm on a program where I'm trying to fix it. I'm not sure if we'll be able to, because you're told you're not supposed to be able to fix it, but I'm on a program to try to get these heavy metals on my system. And so I get a lot of, it can sometimes, as much as I love talking and it's easy for me, I could get a lot of brain fog and different things. So and because of that, it was very difficult. In the beginning, I tried a couple times. I had tried to script out videos, and my fibromyalgia would be so bad, I couldn't read, like, I couldn't read what I would write. I couldn't interpret it. That's how bad it got. So I finally just went, fuck it. I'm just going to kind of rant or just say what I want. You know, in the beginning, I had this small audience, and that first 1,000 people, I really got, like, the people who would comment, I became friends with some of them and kind of got close. Like, if I were to go back on those videos and you pointed to somebody commenting, I could tell you something about them. I would, like, actually, like, my thing in the beginning was I want to respond to every comment. And right before I hit that 1,000, I was barely able to keep up with it. And once we got the 10,000, I was like, I can't do that anymore. It doesn't work. There's just too many people. But it was so many things. A lot of it was just whatever was possibly current. Like I am known for doing multiple videos if I feel to. And like one thing I followed really intensely, people don't ever talk about, was the United Airlines, when that guy got drug off the plane. And I, you know, because I traveled so much with business, and anybody who's traveled a lot and dealt with shitty airlines, they know what that's like. So I was really hard on that, saying, you know, we as passengers need more rights because we just get completely fucked over while paying these exorbitant amounts of money. There were just all kinds of stories. Like one time there was a tornado outbreak, and I just talked about, like, you know, trying to get the word out of, you know, charities that were helping people. Anything I just felt to. And I will say that, like, for the first probably 3 or 4 months, I did consistently do Onision videos. In the beginning, it was a lot. And then it might be once every couple weeks, maybe once a week. He'd just do something really, really stupid or that looked detrimental to people. I found out about it, like, kind of as the story was dying. And I got so upset, like many people did, because it just reminded me so much of things I had been through in my childhood, you know, having 2 parents divorced and 2 shitty step-parents, and, you know, coming from a white, like, both step sides were kind of white trash, and one was really bad, just mean to kids and stuff, and so I just felt really compelled to cover it. And so I kind of dove into a story that was dying just head first. And the more I saw it, the more upset that I got. So I just sat in front of the camera, you know, at my friend's house, which she was fine with me doing. And I just probably filmed a video or 2 a day where I would just be responding to the abuse videos I saw. And then that's how it started. And then I started covering different things. Like I was really angry at the media and how they were covering some stuff. And and that went on, oh God, maybe for a week or so. It's kind of a blur, like when I try to think back about it all. But in that time frame, that it was like maybe the 5 or 6 days before the court case, the big court case. My big thing was I knew the story was dying, and I was afraid it was going to die before they got to court. And I thought, if these kids can go back to their mother, or at least get away from Mike and Heather and get them in a safe place, that's what I want to help with. So I was the only channel still covering it, and the story revived itself. And through that, I ended up having a phone call from Tim Conlon, who is the lawyer of Rose Hall. Now, Chambers had been working with him, and so I said, hey, give them my number if they ever need any help or want to talk. What happened, though, was that Tim Conlon did a video where I found, like, he did a video with Rose, and I found out he was helping her for free. So I ended up doing I did a big thank you to him and trying to support his business. So he contacted me through that. He didn't realize I was the same person that Chambers knew. And he told me everything that was going on in detail before the court case, and said, you've done a great job at keeping the story alive. We feel like you single-handedly helped keep it alive. And the media has been really awful, and I would rather use you instead of going to the media, because you are really keeping the public's interest. So about every day until the court case, Tim would call me, and Tim would give me information to put out there. And so what we talked about was, he said, I want you to attract as much attention as you can. And I said, you know, I have some background in broadcast journalism. Not a lot. I mean, I did it when I was in school, and then a little bit in college. And I said, I would be more than happy to do this journalistic style, which I got criticized heavily for. So he would give me info, and I would spread it out into maybe anywhere from 5 to 6, 7 small videos a day up until the court case. So I think maybe the 2 or 3 days before the court case. And people got really mad at that, but it worked. Because in that really short time frame, I got 5 million views covering this. And it was all about trying to help the situation. And she had a GoFundMe. I was pimping the GoFundMe. And I even had promised, which I have delivered on, all the videos that make money from this Stadio 5 situation, I will be giving to Rose Hall to help her get her children back. which I did. I donated $1,700. People think I made more, and unfortunately, many of those videos were age restricted or they were demonetized, and there's just the CPMs were crazy on everything. So what happened was, day of the court case rolls around, and we're all waiting to hear, and then nothing. And then around 7:30 p.m., I get, well, it was a little bit, maybe 6 o'clock, I get a phone call from Tim. And Tim said, so there's a gag order. And then, like, at that point, I started filming, like I was gonna film my conversation with him because of the fibromyalgia. I didn't want to forget things. So, like, when I talked to him even before that, I would film it just so I would remember the information. So, you know, I could absorb it later. So I started filming, and he's like, so we're under a gag order, but I'm gonna tell you everything that happened anyway. And I went, okay. Like, it didn't really register. And I didn't really expect it, but he told me everything. And he said, what I would like for you to do is, I want you to get this information out. And I said, can I get in trouble? And he said, well, the thing is that I have a gag order, and so does, like, you know, he explained the way it worked legally was that the gag order was on Rose and him and Mike and Heather and their people. But there were a lot of people in court that day, and those people have a right to speak because it wasn't like this was a court case behind chamber doors. And he said, so if anything, you can just tell people that there was somebody in court that told you. You know, there were news people there. Like, there were people outside trying to listen into the courtroom. So when I got this news, and then I found out Emma and Cody are in state custody, and I sat there, I hung up the phone, and I stopped recording, and I went, oh my God, what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do here. This is a lot of information. He even, like, he did weird stuff where I forgot about this one. He promised to get me a recording of everything that happened in court, which I didn't care about. There was just a lot of weird things that happened in that call. And I hung up the phone going, I don't know what to do right now. So and what the part where I messed up was that when I was on the call with him, before I knew exactly how this was going to, like, what he was going to tell me, I was like, hey guys, I'm getting an update. I'm going to have a video soon. So, but then after I learned everything, I went, oh my God, I don't know what to do here. And I sat there and I thought, all right, the couple things. If something happens and with this gag order and they find out Tim Conlon sends something, then Rose is without a lawyer. And if they don't get the kids back, it's my fault. Or I'm the person that speaks up. We now have 2 celebrity kids out there in state care. Do I want to be the person to ring that bell? Because if something happens to them as a result of me saying something, I'm going to feel responsible. So I took it upon myself to say, I'm not going to say anything. And then over that next week, I called lawyers to get legal advice. What the lawyers said was, they told me, they're like, okay, so here's the situation. As long as you don't say anything, he technically has not broken a gag order. The gag order would be broken if it, like, got to the media. So if you don't say anything, not only are, you know, and they said either way, I'm protected because the gag order isn't on me. But they said then that would be protecting Rose and Tim. And I said, perfect. And the one place I messed up was right when I got on the phone with him saying, hey guys, I'm getting info and all blah, blah, blah. So then I had to make this video going, so I got information, but I can't say anything. And that just caused a lot of shit. Repsion started, you know, he blocked me, and then he said stuff like, well, apparently she's got illegal information, and that was when Base Mama and Nick Monroe, the height of that was going on. They had started it. I think it was like the last couple days of April, they started this hate campaign and revved it up to that point to where then so I went from being YouTube's darling and this person who's helping these kids to YouTube's fucking villain, like, overnight. And so here comes some guy 827 and Repsion and several people I really respected making videos on me, and the amount of lies and shit talking was insane. And that was very difficult because here I am, I'm sitting on a story. I could get 1 million fucking views for this video, and I'm not doing it to protect people. I'm really trying to do the right thing, and I'm getting shit on. And then I have Base Mama tweeting at me and Nick Monroe saying stuff like she's going to go to prison. I hope she likes being an orange. Like, just all these, and I knew legally I was fine. I knew I was okay legally, but that's where my credibility started taking hits. And it was also right around this time that my former friend Philip, who's the one who had doxed me, was getting together with Nick Monroe, was teaming up with all of them, and put out this incredibly ridiculous 3-hour video, really, really upset with me. And I didn't see it all. I just saw, like, the major key points where he basically was trying to tell everybody what a horrible person that I was for trying to help him with a resume and trying to bend a little bit of the info, which most people do, to help him get a job. Because Philip, I had known online on and off for 13 years. And probably every year or two, he lost his job. And I would try to help him. I did marketing campaigns where I had people that I had working, because he's from Nashville, in his area. I tried to get him hired. And I told him, I'm like, look, you can make $1,600 for just working Saturdays and Sundays. That's more than you make right now on minimum wage. I would really try to help him. So here he comes calling me, can you make me a resume and even fudge it if you have to? And I said, I can, but that means you'll have to help. I'll give you the experience later with other campaigns and stuff. And he goes and takes my kindness and the things that I tried to do to help him and makes it into this big awful thing of what a horrible person I am. And the other thing that was really upsetting was, so I got on YouTube in December. And in January, I think it was maybe January, I got on LolCow. People explained that LolCow was 4chan, and I had seen a documentary on Netflix that 4chan were these evil hackers, and I was terrified. I didn't understand, this wasn't my world, right? So Philip was one of the only people from my real life I told about my YouTube channel. I was so private about it because this is something I wanted to keep very private and protected. And shortly after I told him, about a month into it, we did some YouNow streams and some fun stuff, and I shared my audience with him. I met him one time in real life. He's an online friend, and we had years we didn't talk. There were big chunks of space. I think the motivation in the end, in my opinion, I think it was two things. I think one was attention, because something I noticed was if I promoted somebody, they would get a decent bump in subs, even early on. Like, my audience trusted me. I would try to promote him just to be friendly. No, he wouldn't get any attention from it. I think that bothered him, so I think he realized the best way for him to get attention was to hate. But then, I think on a broader scale, as I've gone back now and looked through our messages, and I know this is going to sound like a really bitchy female thing, I know, because I fought this for a long time, because people would come to me and say this, and I'd say, I don't think so. I think this person had some secret feelings for me that they didn't express. And so I think all of this, like him wanting attention, not getting it, either the attention he wanted specifically from me or attention for me just promoting him, I think it got to the point where it all really upset him to where he made up this story in his head where it was okay to destroy my life. And I know that sounds crazy, but I had to look back through our messages and go, oh my God, I'm missing all these signals. How did I miss this stuff? And that's my perception. I could be totally wrong. But, nothing else makes sense when people ask, why do you hate her? Why is she a liar? Well, because I tried to help him with his resume, and because I wasn't sure if I wanted to debate Onision, and then I debated him. That's it. Those are the big offenses as to why we should destroy my life. Reption's another hard one, because at least with Phil, that's another hard one too. I was going to say I knew him, but the person that Phil became, I don't know who that is. And what I've learned about Phil is I think he's one of those people that he will change depending on the people he's around. He will just kind of transform himself into what you want to hear. Reption, I can only give speculation. My speculation, because I don't know him. I don't want to be that person that is just going to talk shit when I don't know somebody. But I think my speculation would be, I think, a couple things. I think it's possible, because I know this happened with some people in that commentary and skeptic community. I learned there was a lot of jealousy that my channel grew so quickly. And a lot of people sat there and it's weird because a lot of people got offended because here I am, and I'm one of the few women on YouTube doing well who, I'm not a makeup channel. I don't wear makeup. I'm gaining weight in front of a camera. I look like hell. Many days I won't even brush my hair because I'm in a lot of physical pain. And here I am in my sweats in front of a camera just talking. I don't have to, I wasn't one of those people that had to really try. It was people liked watching me. And I think that with Repson, I think two things. I think in the beginning, because he's actually talked about this. He said he saw how many Onision videos I did, and that put him off, and that's fine. He said he doesn't think much of it, but that's his opinion. That's fine. But it was Base Mama and Nick Monroe and Philip who was shopping a letter around and wanted to get it to Repson, which Suit Yourself had later told me. I think it was them getting in his ear saying it was doing illegal stuff. I think that started it. We ended up emailing recently because I was like, so when are you going to do this apology thing? And he's like, I haven't seen your blood work. he'd make statements like this: I've already invested and wasted enough emotional energy into you, and I'm not going to continue to waste energy. And I'm like, what emotional energy? I don't understand what emotional energy invests. And he said it like a couple times to where I was like, you're acting like we were in a relationship. And then the former friend Philip, if you, I don't know if you've seen his video, you know, you can, of course, if you want to watch it, I encourage you to, if that's something you want to do. He would say several times, see, she's using me. She's using me. She's using me. When in the opposite was the case, where I was constantly trying to help him and give him money and help uplift his situation. So I don't, you know, I don't know what his motivation was. I know his father was really sick at the time. I don't know if he still is. I think maybe he was going through issues from that, and I became the punching bag. Again, it's just speculation. I do know he was upset because he thought I was doing illegal activity. But even at that point, he wasn't going to be making a video on me. It was because that's all happened in May when all this went down. I think the video didn't come out until like late July or early August, I believe. So like, it just didn't make sense why, you know, we weren't on horrible terms, and all of a sudden he's doing this huge hate campaign on me. And what a lot of people don't know about that video, I believe there was about a 6-week period of teasing it, where he would come on my channel and leave comments, I'm going to destroy your life. You're not going to have anywhere to run or hide. He did this for several weeks before he... It is a constant anxiety attack. You know, I had some trolls and some haters from the Onision coverage, and it wasn't anything big. In fact, some of it I found them entertaining, like trolls who would come in and they'd get real colorful with like how they'd insult me. I thought it was funny. I was like, I love any creative way to call me a cunt. In fact, I had bands of trolls I made friends with because they were so funny. And they're like, well, God damn it, we're looking for a reaction. Like, the perception of me is not the truth, because I'm a really easygoing person who just wants to laugh. Like, I just want to have a good time. But what happened was, so I have the Daddy-O-5 fans and the people who hate what they've done all watching me. So what happened was, I had a portion of my audience who I had shared with this guy, Phil, turn on me from his video and just believe every word he says. And the one thing I did with Phil that I probably should have done, that I do differently, I didn't stand up for myself, because I kind of have this rule: if you're a former friend or somebody I've cared about in my life, I'm not going to talk ill of you. Like, it's a respect thing for me, even if it ends badly. Like, I don't do things like that. And I kind of hoped he would eventually move on with it, which he did. And I realized he never was going to. Like, he kind of basically explained he was going to not stop until he ruined my life, and that it's my fault. Even though until I started speaking up recently, and in over a year, I did not say one negative thing about him. Not one. With all of the stuff he said. So that started. Then I have the Daddy-O-5 fans who already hate me. And then I have the people who are like anti-Daddy-O-5, who now are saying, oh my God, she's trying to hurt the case, and she's trying to exploit, because then Base Mama and crew put out that I'm exploiting the children because I'm making money off of this stuff. So then I have both factions of the Daddy-O-5 camps jump in and hate me. At the same time, Philip does his stuff. So my audience all starts, not all, but a big chunk of them start turning. So in all of this, you know, and so that happened, but then my channel started to recover. Like, it started to, you know, there started to be a positive swing. But the harassers just, for me, I could never even make a mistake. Like, even that situation where people thought it was a mistake. Because typically on the internet, something happens, and in 2 weeks, it goes away, right? Not in my case, because I had this band of constant harassers and YouTubers that would network that wanted to ruin my life and get me off of YouTube. So what happened was, my channel was turning around. You know, I'd lost a couple thousand subscribers. I was gaining them back. And then Repsion starts his stuff. And it was really hard. And then here comes all of Repsion's people. And Repsion, I don't think he understands that he's got 500,000 people that have access. There are over 250,000 people that have seen his very slanderous, inaccurate video of me. Like, it's been a nightmare. It's been an absolute nightmare, because, like, what happened was, I know you're asking what that harassment was like. The harassment was horrible, because it's not just waking up every day and hearing, oh, you're fat, I don't want to fuck you, you know, you're ugly, I don't like your hair, your voice is awful, I don't like your opinions. It was waking up every day to, you know, for a long time, it was waking up every day to, you're a scam artist, you're a con artist, you enjoy child abuse, you are a racist. And I think the one that was hardest for me was being called a scam artist and a con artist. And I would, like, once a month, my audience knew I would do charity streams. And I would always put up receipts. And these people turned everything into, she's not donated money. And their goal was to make sure that their goal was like, we want to make sure she can never work another job because she can't be trusted with companies' money. One thing they hated about me was I don't have a criminal past. Aside from speeding tickets, like, I'm a very clean individual in my life. I'm very, very clean. Like, I've not gotten in a lot of trouble or had a lot of big scandals. So they would have to make things up. And I was somebody that worked really hard my whole life, to really have a good name and build my name up in the business world. And for them to attack that, you're attacking my ability to make money, even outside of YouTube. And that to me was one of the hardest things personally, especially because I was somebody that even in my situation was giving away a lot of money because I wanted to help other people. I really did. But the other thing, and this is where it got to be too much, because they couldn't get to me. Let's get to the people around me. Benji James and I at the time, we had gotten pretty close. Benji stopped talking to me, and it wasn't like he was mad, but it was because he was getting harassed. Mike and Actor started getting harassed. I told Mike, I was like, I love you, back down. Don't even talk about me because it's going to become a nightmare for you. It got to where anybody even would say something positive would be harassed. One time I had a 13-year-old girl make a nice video about me on Twitter, and she got harassed to where she was making videos crying, asking them to stop. And I got her in DMs and said, have you talked to your parents? And tried to help her through it and told her, go tell a parent. I mean, it was a mess. And then they started coming for my boyfriend's job. And they started doxing. There was a lot of doxing. Like, I had been doxed early on because of my former friend Philip. And they started doxing my boyfriend Dominic. They doxed where he worked, and they were trying to get people to call and get him fired. Tipster Gaming, it's funny, he was one of those YouTubers that went after me for being a scam artist, called the charities, learned I did work with them, turned around and apologized, and now we're good friends. We got close from that. He's defended me a lot. He got calls to his job trying to get him fired. It's been, the levels people have gone to, and the weird part is a lot of this happened even after I deleted my channel. When I deleted my channel, the harassment was so bad, and the damage from Repsion's video was so great, I was like, what's the point? Like, what is the point at this point? Like, and at that point, I didn't have any big YouTubers who would go to bat for me and even want to listen to the evidence. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. It was every day waking up and being like, how are people going to try to destroy my life? And I tried everything. I tried first kind of responding and hard hitting with the facts. That didn't work because people will get to a point if they just want to hate, and if public perception is on the side of hate, it doesn't matter what evidence you show, they're just going to hate. Like, they just don't fucking care. And then I tried going radio silent and ignoring it all. Well, that just made their narratives even louder. Like, they just felt like they had more of a voice, and it became more of a challenge. So it was a nightmare because it was like I realized this isn't just about me, this is the people around me. And with Adpocalypse going on, is it worth keeping YouTube when I'm making $5-10 a day on it, which isn't much at all? And people were constantly trying to strike my channel. And it got to the point where even former fans were striking my Positive Daddy 05 videos because they thought I was profiting off of abuse of children. Well, let's get her off of YouTube. So there's a lot of false flagging. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. And you would think it would have ended when I deleted my channel. It got worse. It got worse because they felt vindicated. And I was not an internet person before this. I didn't know how this stuff kind of works. So the reason I started speaking up with Geek Thulu, and it took Geek Thulu several months of pushing me to tell my story, several months, because I was afraid anything I do would make it worse. So yeah, but it was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. A lot of anxiety, a lot of, hidden panic attacks, a lot of, I had a couple really big emotional breakdowns where I just cried for a couple days. Going, I don't understand why everybody hates me. What did I do? Because when it started, I didn't know what was going on. It took several months to piece it together and get the evidence. So it's been hell. It's been hell. And to do it all chronically sick, stress and anxiety caused my illness to flare up while I'm trying to figure out getting better. The stress was just too much. It got so far that so me and my boyfriend decided we were going to adopt a dog, and we wanted to get a rescue. And I love Shih Tzu dogs. We've had them in my family. And we found this 10-year-old Shih Tzu, and she's got some minor health issues. When we adopted her, people went as far as to figure out who the former foster owner was and dox that person and call them. I mean, the levels, they swatted my family. They tried to get me. One person called in a suicide threat and said it was a threat to myself and other people. They didn't call the right place. They called a different city, but I had to call them and coordinate with their office and my officers that this isn't the case. I'm on YouTube. It's been a nightmare. I want to tell my story, get it out there as raw as I can with the evidence, drop the mic, burn the house down, and walk away. Like, that was kind of what I wanted to do. And people have said that before me. Well, doesn't it feel good? You feel vindicated and all this? And I've said no. I deleted my channel that at the height had like 64,000 subscribers. For me, I am concerned that if I ever get well and go back to work, I'm going to have to change my name. Because because I thought about, I know I've learned that there are services that will remove Google searches, but these people have said, even if she does it, we'll just keep going. We'll make her waste all her money. I'm probably going to have to change my name. None of this is fun. And I'm not the kind of person that takes pleasure in revenge, if that makes sense. It's not fun. To me, this was needless. This was absolutely needless. I could still have my channel, be making really fun content and having a good time. And my friend Philip could have just gone on his path, everybody none the wiser. And instead it was like, let's air everybody's dirty laundry, make things up, and just make people's lives miserable. And for what? Like, I to this day will never understand people who act this way. If I were like a pedophile, I were some awful person, I would get it. It would, but I don't think I've done anything that would be deserving of an ounce of what's happened. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think having an opinion people don't like, or any of that would incur the longevity of what happened. God, it was a year. It was almost a year of this stuff. So I walk away from it, honestly. I'm recovering. I'm sad. I've walked away from this sad because it didn't have to happen. And I'm just walking away trying to focus on my health and focus on my body at this point and trying to get better. That's all I can do. I do want to say I'm grateful. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity. Like, I didn't expect Keen to show up. Like, that was a wonderful surprise. I'm very, very grateful to Geek Thulu, to Andy Worski, to Tonka, to Vamp Candy, to all those people that helped me get the story out there. And I'm very happy I got to tell it, but this wasn't fun. Maybe I would come back. If I did, it would be very different. I can't see it in the next year or two. I really can't. And even then, I'm probably going to go on to something else and do something else and explore some other opportunity or something I enjoy. I hope. That's the hope, right? If I can get better. So to have the public perception on my side has helped greatly. What has happened is I've had a handful of these people come and apologize. And they say, well, I didn't know how bad it was. And it does piss me off because I'm like, you're only saying this because this got on a big channel. You knew how bad it was. You're now just A, embarrassed, or B, you're somebody that doesn't think and you go with popular opinion. That's all you're doing right now, right? Like, because I told you before. Like I said before, this is what it was. You're just listening because it's popular. Some aspects have. And I've had a lot more people defend me, which is really nice. It's scary. I mean, when people are threatening to show up at your house, it's incredibly scary. When people are saying I live an hour from her and I almost showed up to beat the shit out of her and this, that, and the other. But I had a flat tire. Like, and when they're putting out where my boyfriend works and let's get him fired and show her that, the world doesn't revolve around her. Just weird shit. It is. And when a lot of people, especially I hate pulling this card, but if you're a woman, it's almost even scarier because it's like, you already kind of, in a sense, feel like you're in a weaker position with what can I do? And when that happens and your anxiety comes up and stress comes up, it's very difficult to think clearly. So there was a lot of me getting anxiety over something, taking a day or two of rest, and then having to go back at it. There are some weeks where I had to take the whole week off of trying to figure out what to do because I'm like, I'm physically not in the right place and I'm mentally not in the right place. So I took it in chunks. And I will end with this. I'm going to continue to go after my top 10 or 15 harassers because even if I'm not online, I want to make a very big point that people can't act this way and there are consequences for your actions. That's why I've said it could take me 2 or 3 years. It might take me getting better and making money before I can even afford it. And I'm fine with that. And it's not really a big revenge thing. It's just more like, you can't do this. Some of these people I will be suing civilly. Some of these people I will be going after criminally for harassment just to make sure they kind of they get that understanding. And if I do this, like I decided, if I can do this and do it successfully, I may do a short comeback, and I will put a lot of video to promoting the videos so people see this is what happens when you do this shit. You can disagree with somebody all you want. You don't fuck with somebody's life.